This is a short documentary about fishing and aquaculture as a water-based resource. We will be covering the sustainability of fishing and the regulations that are in place and how effective they are. This is a short documentary about fishing and aquaculture as a water-based resource. We will be covering the sustainability of fishing and the regulations that are in place and how effective they are. Hundreds of millions of tonnes of fish are eaten worldwide each year, providing 2.5 billion people with at least 20% of their animal protein intake. But hang on, aren't there plenty more fish in the sea? Wrong. Wild fish are being caught in a way that is decimating their stocks. 85% of the world's fisheries are being overfished, meaning that these stocks can't recover quick enough. Some methods of fishing catch all sorts of additional wildlife. For example, turtles, whales and dolphins are all unintentionally caught as bycatch. Bottom trawling is a method of fishing which consists of a large net being dragged along the sea floor, scooping up all wildlife in its path. Although this method can yield very large catches, it does bring in a large number of bycatch and does tear up the delicate sea floor. Long line fishing consists of trailing a fishing line behind a boat, which can be up to 50 miles long. These lines have baited hooks along their length which attract all sorts of wildlife. Unwanted fish species and even seabirds have been found caught up in the line. Time for some facts. For every 1 kilogram of fish caught, 5 kilograms are discarded as bycatch. 28,000 turtles each year get caught in trawlers catching shrimp. However, turtles are not the only victims. For every 1 pound of prawns that are caught, 27 pounds of bycatch is pulled up.
On average, 12 people die each year by shark attacks. We kill 14,000 every hour, which over the year means we kill 100,012,920. Each year, the UK fishing vessels will land 700,000 tonnes of fish. 200 to 300,000 tonnes will be exported abroad and 290,000 tonnes will be imported, generating £1.4 billion.
We visited the Penventon Park Hotel and spoke to their head chef Rob. We discussed how he balances economic sustainability with biological sustainability when it comes to the fish that he serves, and what he can do as a head chef to ensure that all fish that he serves is sustainable. How much is conservation taken into consideration when running your restaurant?
But yeah, for me it's all about locality, seasonality and supporting the local fishermen families and fishermen villages, coming from Flushing as well, which is a huge fishing community. So yeah, I don't use any large suppliers, any mass suppliers, local, small, I've got to know them.
Is that?
You mentioned how locality is important. What do you consider as local?
A little bit, but when I was at the ferry boat before and the fish restaurant before that, I didn't buy anything that came from anywhere more than 50 miles away, you know, fish-wise and everything. Lobsters, 24 hours in advance because they're better off kept in the pots and then taken out the pots to be cooked. I don't really like using them.
How do you ensure that the fish you buy is local?
Yeah, he's a large fishmonger in St Ives. His dad had a small fishmonger shop in St Ives about 75 years ago, and he picked up the business from there, and now he's one of the largest ones in Cornwall. But he still buys off local boats. Yeah, but it's still local boats and small boats and everything like that. It's all very sustainable to him. And before here, I used a lot of even smaller local boats, and you just end up knowing people, and they'll drop a bycatch your way. So if they're out scalloping, and they pick up Dover soles in the nets, then in the dredges.
That's interesting. Is it more expensive to buy local fish?
If you're clever with what you use and what you do, and the times you buy things and the season of it, the price is a good price anyway, and the relationship you build up with the local fishermen, if you know, because I've used the same people for about 15 years, they keep the price sustainable for you, so you keep going back to them and buying it.
Yeah. Keep it like a relationship.
Yeah. With all my suppliers, it's the same thing. You know, it is a little bit different in some sense coming to a hotel of this size, but you still use Cornwall wherever possible.
Yeah.
Why does it matter to you to buy locally?
Yeah, it's the sustainability of the fish is one of the main things. Before I was here, we had an oyster farm in our previous company, and that was a Dutch oyster farm which has been there for generations and generations, and that was all about sustainability of the rivers, and you know, not taking too much out, making sure you're still breeding. And and for me, it keeps the local fishermen going as well. But I always feel that if it's local food and it's in the right season, then it sits well on your menu, and the customers they tend to go with it, and it's like that, it's just this circle of keeping all that going. Really.
Yeah.
Would you pay more just to get local sustainable fish?
Yeah. Well, I paid £2.50 for a portion of hake when I could pay £1.80 if I buy it from a different place, frozen, etc. But I'd rather pay more money.
How do general trends affect the customer demand?
There's a guy called Danny Phillips who catches some of the best gurnard you'll ever taste anywhere. One of the best fish you'll ever taste as well. And someone in London started buying his gurnard, and now you're lucky if anyone in Cornwall can get one of his fish. It goes straight to London and then off to France.
Really? And how do you decide whether you want, what the plat du jour is and things like that? How do you decide that? Because we've had place, haven't we, for a while?
Yeah, because it's a good price and local, and he's got a lot of it to shift.
So that's why you would choose that fish, or would he call you and be like?
So he's had an abundance of place
I've got so much
off a boat,
place.
and I've gone, I'll take, box me that off, and I'll have that, and then send it to me over the next 2 days, and that's what that is.
How often do you change your menu, and what influences you to do so?
So we don't change it very often, and but I ring Matthew up every evening.
Oh really?
And sometimes in the afternoon he'll send me I'll ring up and ask him what's coming off the local boats, and they'll send me some bits of that. The relationship I have with Matthew is that he won't, if I order a fish that isn't seasonal or local or the kind of in my remit and his remit of what he likes to supply and what I like to use, then I just won't get it. So if I rang him up tonight and said, can I have 6 John Dory, he'd probably have them in the freezer or something like that from Greece or Spain, but he wouldn't send them to me.
What are your views on bycatch?
Really meant to do that,
Yeah.
But that also does keep those fishermen going. I know there's, legally it's kind of a bit of a, nowadays you're not really allowed to do it at all, but
Really?
But if you've got a mate who's got a scalloping boat and he's hit his quota on scallops, even though he could catch more, but he's got some Dover soles and monkfish tails in his dredge, I don't see any problem with him selling that onto a local restaurant at a good price, because it tops his pay up and we get fish for a good price as well.
If the customer, in general, the customer demand was for this fish for whatever reason that you couldn't get locally or sustainably,
I'd hang my jacket
would
up and not bother doing it anymore.
Yeah.
If I was in that kind of job and in that kind of place and that was the way the industry was, I would not do it.
Yeah.
Aquaculture and fisheries. Aquaculture and fisheries are two areas in the sustainability of fish stock. Fisheries are the geographical location in which the population of an aquatic organism, such as fish or crustaceans, are harvested for commercial or recreational value. Associated with fish and shellfish, fisheries can either catch, process, and sell fish or raise and harvest them. These fish can either be salt or freshwater. Unlike fisheries, aquaculture focuses on the science behind the cultivation of aquatic animals and plants. It is not confined to salt or freshwater, as it can involve maricultural or multi-trophic systems. Whilst fisheries are a more traditional means of catching aquatic life, aquaculture adds the factor of knowledge. With this knowledge, company or organizations involved in the industry have a better understanding of the species intended to be caught, as well as the surrounding environment and ecosystem. This ensures they aid the sustainability of that species, as opposed to just catching it, to still have the appropriate amount of fish to catch in the future. Aquaculture is the current area of interest as a preferred means of fish catchment for the future. Choosing to research species that are intended for catchment provides one with valuable knowledge for higher efficiency of catching and sustaining. Aquaculture can impact an entire ecosystem. The defining factors for good or bad management of a fish stock will be the balance between supply based on demand and sustainability of a species or ecosystem. This raises the question of ethical views versus profit, or the balance between the two. The responsibility of fisheries and aquaculture is to provide a source of food for the world. From this, there is employment and trade and economic opportunity to all. To ensure this concept is available to present and future generations, a sustainable plan must be followed and carried out. This idea is recognized by the FAO Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries of 1995. The FAO are the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. The summary of the Conduct for Responsible Fisheries 1995 is that countries, individuals, or organizations involved in fisheries and aquaculture should work together to manage and conserve existing fishery sources. This includes focused species or their ecosystem. The other point is that methods of catching fish should be undertaken in a manner which ensures catchment now and in the future at a rate that still ensures demand is met. This is maximum sustainable yield. This is to ensure the sustainability of fish stocks through their conservation, which leads to continuation of food supplies and in turn can prevent poverty in the fishing community. In conclusion, it is clear that the way we use our seas and the organisms that inhabit this environment is unsustainable and changes need to occur to help support businesses and the environment. The general idea that the points of conduct for Responsible Fisheries Code wants fisheries to follow is taken from an ideal situation in a perfect world. However, as the points of conduct code is voluntary, it does not influence change on a bigger scale, as there is an option to simply ignore this. For responsible fisheries to occur, this code must have greater authority and must tackle the issue of a healthy balance between economic and biological sustainability. Can these views be realized and developed with the introduction of Brexit? One thing is for sure though, and that is that something needs to be done to protect, help and enhance the marine environment for not only the organisms that live and breathe in our waters, but for the millions who rely on this environment as well.